and that's that. Now we have the fun of going through each and every team in the NHL. So let's get to work. We start with the Tampa Bay Lightning. We're going to start with the Atlantic Division. We're going to go down the teams in order of their odds. So
how about Jimmy the Bag? Do you want me to start with just a quick, 30-second rundown of my points plays that I'm going to give officially? And then you can keep those in mind and tell me what you think of them, or you can tell me what you think of them as I give them.
I'd be more excited to hear them as we get to each team.
Okay.
Cool.
Go ahead.
So anytime we come to a team that you have a future on, I'd love to hear that. The Lightning are the second favorites to win the Cup over the Avalanche. Avalanche at plus 450, and that's just a bet I can't make for either. To win the conference, the Lightning are plus 275. Again, that's just I don't see the risk reward there. And to win the division, the Lightning are plus 145, which I don't really like either. And I don't like the Leafs or the Bruins. I don't think the Bruins are going to be bad. I think the Krejci loss is enormous, and we'll talk more about that. But I think the Panthers, and I bet the Panthers to win the division here. The Panthers have so much to prove, and the Lightning have shown us before that they do not need to win a division to win a Stanley Cup. So let's just quickly go over the situation for the Lightning. The Palat, Point, Kucherov line is easily one of the best in hockey with Palat's ability to be a two-way forward. Braden Point now taking over as this team's, I mean, we know that Kucherov is the most important player, but Braden Point taking over from Stamkos as that second most important player. Stamkos, Cirelli, and Killorn on that second line. Colton, Corey Perry, Matthew Joseph. Fun getting Corey Perry to come in on the third line, bring his leadership skills. Then Patrick Maroon, Pierre-Edouard Bellemare, and Taylor Radish on the fourth line. Hedman is an absolute monster. He's an absolute monster, and he just continually exceeds our expectations. He'll be a Norris Trophy candidate every year. McDonough has had more longevity in his career than I actually expected, and he's still playing well. You got Jan Ruda, Eric Cernak, Bogosian, and Sergachev. Sergachev, I'm very interested to see what he's capable of doing as he gets older. Is he going to take the reign, as to be a top defenseman? Because right now he's still on the third unit. And then you have Vasilevsky and Brian Elliott. You have, in my estimation, the team that should be favored to win the Stanley Cup this year over the Avalanche, but I'm not going to bet them for anything. Do you have any interest in these Tampa Bay Lightning, future-wise?
You said Tampa Bay should be favored over the Avalanche.
I believe so. I think it's I do not think look, I'm a huge Avalanche fan and backer, but I do not think they have the depth.
Man, you are really in this. You are really so you like you would rate Tampa Bay over the Avalanche, but you don't like them tonight against Pittsburgh. Okay. Yeah, okay. No, I'm not going to I don't have a play on the Tampa Bay points total. No.
And this point total for the Tampa Bay Lightning right now, 106.5.
Yeah.
If I had a free pick, I would take the under. I don't see a reason why. They just simply don't need to be first in their division. They don't need to force it in the regular season. They could come second or third in their division and be just fine. And, maybe the under is the play. I wish you could take a first half under. Because I do not expect them to be blowing anybody out of the water in the first 40 games, but they'll get their shit together soon. And Mr. Go says Rangers are the team out of the East, Blackhawks out of the West.
Let's go Rangers. Where's Dom Ricci at? Let's go Rangers.
But Dommy Gun's an Islanders guy.
Yeah?
Right?
Oh, okay.
He's an Islanders guy.
At least you get the joke, though.
He would. All right, let's move on to the Toronto Maple Leafs. And this is my first bet of the year, and the 2-unit bet for me was the Leafs season total under 105.5. It was slightly juiced, minus 125. At Sports Interaction, it's 106.5 and minus 133. To win the division, these Leafs are plus 200. I don't think they can do that at all. To win the conference, plus 550, and to win outright, the Leafs are 11-1, and with those numbers, with those odds, I thought, man, God, this will create value for other teams like the Islanders and Panthers, even though they're not in the same division, and the Hurricanes, even if you're high on them. But this roster, to me, we have We have a general manager in Kyle Dubas who is what I consider a fanboy of hockey. And he does not make shrewd decisions. And if I was the coach, I would feel handcuffed. I would say, where is my fourth line? How can we not have a team that's hard? I need a team that's hard to play against. And when you have a fourth line with Wayne Simmons and Jason Spezza on it, you're completely handcuffed. Now, Mike Amadio coming in over from the Kings, the jury's out on what he can do. But you're supposed to have a fourth line like the New York Islanders. The Islanders have a fourth line that will beat you up. It will intimidate you. They start every period on the ice because they set a tone for the Islanders' games. What do you do with Spezza and Simmons? The fact that Spezza was so good last year and, raised the money for the AHL team, the players on the AHL teams, played well in the playoffs, exceeded expectations during the season, it hurts the Leafs because now you have to bring them back. And what do you do with them? Having Simmons and Thornton and Spezza on your team last year was some of the worst managing I could possibly imagine. And now we have a situation where you're paying Tavares and Marner and Nylander and Matthews so much money that you have the top 6 forwards that include Alexander Kerfoot and Michael Bunting. I mean, and Andre Cachet can help on the third line, but this is a problem. I'm not high on their defense, although I think that Rasmus Sandin can get better and better, and Jake Muzzin can be enormously quality. But you have Mikheyev, who needs to step up. He's injured right now. Matthews, who's going to be out for the first few games. And I do not like this hockey team. What do you think, Pete?
My numbers had them not even a lean for their points total at 105.5. I have that ranked as even. So, but yeah, so that makes me think that that you're dead on. That makes me like what you have to say a lot more.
Cool. I do not like this hockey team. It's just Sheldon Keefe. Sheldon Keefe just has his hands tied. I mean, he's just not capable of changing. See, what you want to do as a coach is you want to have players that can change the energy of a game, can change the flow of a game, and you want to be a tough team to play against. And the Leafs just have the top flight offense, and Tavares is not one of those anymore. Tavares is going to become a character guy, a character leader who's scoring 40 points a year. That's who Tavares is going to become. I think they're in trouble. Okay, so we move on to another team that I think is way overrated, and that is the Boston Bruins. Boston Bruins. Tell me that, look, and I like Charlie Coyle, I always have, but that he can replace David Krejci is absolutely ludicrous. And those of you who have Taylor Hall in your hockey pools are going to be screwed unless Marchand gets hurt and Taylor Hall moves up onto that first line, because Krejci is an excellent hockey player. He does everything right. He's having Bergeron and Krejci as your 1 and 2 center. Now, I know Krejci had a lot of injury troubles, but are there two better centers in the league than these two guys? They're so defensively, they are so accountable. They win faceoffs. They make their pass first centers, which is almost a dying breed, in the NHL. And you want to say that Eric Haula and Charlie Coyle are going to be the second and third line centerman. You're not going to miss Krejci, and that Taylor Hall will be the player that you saw last year without Krejci. Krejci had a great year last year, a better year than I even remember. I believe he scored 44 points in 51 games. I mean, you don't even need that offense from Krejci. I think Charlie McAvoy, if he can, he's got the heart issues. He's got these heart problems. If he can stay healthy, he's a Norris Trophy candidate. If his heart issues creep up, well, then the Bruins are screwed. Now, they'll still probably make the playoffs, but what happens if McAvoy's heart... I couldn't pick him in the hockey pool last night because I'm still worried about his heart issues. Linus Ullmark, is Linus Ullmark going to be the number one goaltender that he's showing tiny examples of? I don't know. That's a huge question mark to me.
Jim, you're fucking amazing. You know how, like, there's musicians who go to, like, Berkeley who are so good at music that only other musicians can really appreciate them? That's what you're like with hockey, man. This is unreal.
I don't know. That's I don't know if I'm quite there, but it's very kind of you to say. Mr. Ghost says,
when I look at the Bruins, I see the top line is old and they have real problems with depth. But when I ran the numbers, it's expecting another good season for them based on the analytics I look at, which you talked about. Hockey analytics are not up to snuff compared to other sports. So I trust you totally on the Bruins.
Well, look, there's a reason why the first line is called the perfection line.
Right.
They're spectacular. They do everything that you need, and but they've all dealt with injury problems. We've not seen them each play 82 games or 80 games in the season. And now you don't have Krejci to take over when Bergeron's down. Boston's they're going to be a good hockey team. Don't get me wrong. I don't. They're vulnerable, and Krejci is one hell of a hockey player who's gone over to finish his career in the Czech Republic.
All right.
Let's move on to the Florida Panthers. Now, I want to talk about this team because I want to know whether I should move on them to win the conference or win the cup, something I haven't done. To win the cup right now, they're plus 2,000. To win the conference, the Panthers are plus 1,000. And to win the division, the bet I made, they're plus 450. A lot of when we talk about the Panthers is what are we going to get from Sam Bennett? He scored 15 points in 10 games in the regular season with Florida. This guy had such an enormously high ceiling, and nothing went right in Calgary, and I don't understand why. I don't know what it was that didn't work out for him. So this opportunity he has to be a second-line center, I think that he's capable of being a very tough player to play against, and we know what Barkov can do. He's so spectacular defensively. He's so accountable, and he's also so good offensively. Verhaeghe, at what you're paying him, is a really nice spot to have. He's a speedster who's come over from the Lightning. And Sammy Reinhart, I picked in the hockey pool last night. I think Sammy Reinhart is going to show everybody how good he is, and I can't believe that the Sabres got rid of him. And Dennis Garcia says, so Boston loses a 35-year-old and you get scared. I thought they were old. No recommendation, no line seems fair. Yes, Dennis, that's exactly right. I think that Krejci is a very, very good hockey player, and I do not think that Charlie Coyle can possibly supplant what he was doing. And look how many goals did Taylor Hall score last year in the Bruins? I think he scored 10. 8 of them were assisted by Krejci. So yeah, look, they're an old team, and their superstar defenseman who's 23 has serious heart issues. What do you want me to say, Dennis? What did your numbers tell you with these Florida Panthers?
At 101.5, liking the over. But again, I have a few picks that I'm definitely going to give officially, regardless of what you say. Although I'll be very concerned if you disagree even a little bit. But this one, the edge is modest, but over. And I think that squares with the way you're seeing this team as well.
I need to study. I was trying to study Mackenzie Weegar more yesterday because Aaron Ekblad has been a disappointment for me, but that's just because I compare him to Victor Hedman, and I shouldn't. The problem that's going to be around this team's neck is Sergei Bobrovsky. You're paying him $10 million a year. He's untradeable. And Spencer Knight may deserve to be the number one goaltender. Then what happens with Bobrovsky? And then what happens if you're trying to build around this team? I didn't like the Joe Thornton pickup, although I don't think it's terrible by any means, but I don't quite understand why it was done. I think Anthony Duclair can be a top-flight winger, but he's somebody right now he's on the fourth line of the depth chart, which is strange. And, we know what Barkov and Huberdeau are going to give you. But Mr. Ghost says Knight might eventually take his job. Knight could take his job in the first month of the season. And then what are you going to do with him sulking on the bench? Dennis Garcia says Knight should start. So it's too bad that you're going to have $10 million wrapped around Bobrovsky's neck. Slatsy says Panthers stacked, 1 game away from knocking off Tampa. Remember, Ekblad was out, took a future on them, plus 2,200 to win the Cup. Spencer Knight gets better each game. I wonder if I should add to this. I have them to win the division.
All right, I'll make that an official pick. It's definitely not one of my favorites of the picks I'm going to give, but 101.5 minus 115. I'm just going to use 2 books, Bet Online and Heritage, and take the best out of both of those. But I'll make that official. Over 1.5 minus 115. That's our 101.5 minus 115.
All right. Pete is locked in. All right, I got to speed this up because a lot of teams to go through. Montreal Canadiens is the next up, and I mean, your guess is as good as mine with this hockey team. Obviously, they dealt with a ton of injuries last year, and I didn't notice their greatness. They had a very interesting offseason, very controversial offseason, drafting a guy in the first round who begged not to be drafted, losing Shea Weber for the season due to multiple injuries, maybe Shea Weber for his career, and then the wildly exciting situation when Carolina stole Kotkaniemi off of them, and they replaced him with Christian Dvorak, which will help them right now. Maybe not in a few years, but right now at the price point for Dvorak. And then you have, how good are Nick Suzuki and Cole Caulfield? I can't quite answer that. I don't know how good they're going to be. I love that Tyler Toffoli's playing with them. Jeff Petrie, for the first half of the season, was the Norris Trophy winner. The second half of the season, he struggled. Now, injuries were a part of that. Can David Savard come in and give this team a huge boost that they need? Because this team still has nice-looking depth. You got Gallagher on the third line. I mean, they need a lot from Jake Evans. You got a nice-looking fourth line with Lehkonen, Paquette, and Perreault. But, again, it's not – if I was coaching, it's not the way I would want – I don't want that as my fourth line. I want a physical, bruising team. And then what the hell are you going to get from Jonathan Drouin? I wonder if this team is going to be overvalued throughout the season, and we're going to make money fading them. But I've made that mistake before. Dennis Garcia says Montreal under 90. I said this last year about Vancouver. Overachieved in playoffs, young team, gets hyped and falls on their face next year with a bunch of sophomore slumps. Feel the same way about Montreal. Mr. Ghost says not enough scoring power. I mean, how good? I mean, with Drouin and Suzuki and Caulfield, they could be very, very good offensively. And the Josh Anderson trade was thievery. Maybe the Habs under is the bet to make. What do you think of these Montreal Canadiens this year?
Yeah, it's low certainty here. Just the personnel losses and then the youth progression. It's could easily see a lot of times the breakout excellent performers that you weren't really expecting tend to be a lot of those young guys, and I could easily see that being Montreal here, but it's a pass for me. Numbers like the over, but pass.
And I personally feel we have so many things, so many moving parts with this Habs team, that the Carey Price being out and now going into a rehab of some kind, I don't think it's a devastating blow. And I think he can still inspire this team. And, he steps up in the playoffs, but look at what he's done in the regular season for the last few years. I don't feel like it's a devastating blow. I don't know what to do with these Habs, and I've made a mistake of counting them out when I shouldn't. So I've got nothing there with the Habs. Let's move on to the Ottawa Senators, and it just sucks for those of you who want to see this team step up that Tkachuk is unsigned. Brady Tkachuk is unsigned. It just sucks. He's such a special player. It's too bad. This team is moving in the right direction. Stützle could be excellent, but he's 19. I was still hesitant to pick him late in the hockey pool. Josh Norris is capable. It was a nice pickup, and he was a main piece of the big trade with the Sharks. And Drake Batherson, look, he lights it up in the A. Will he be able to do that in the NHL? This was not a highly thought of prospect coming out, as a kid. And then I like Connor Brown a lot, but Shane Pinto and Nick Paul as top six forwards, I don't know. I mean, Thomas Chabot has a ton on his plate here. I think he's very, very talented. And then it always will come down to how bad is Matt Murray? Is he terrible? He looked so bad last year, and they got him under contract now. And, like, I don't know what to do. I understand. Look, if Brady Tkachuk was on this team, I would take the over 77.5 points. And maybe he becomes on it. Maybe he jumps on it. I don't. What we know about Ottawa is they're coached impeccably. They are going to fight. They're going to be a live dog. I just wish Tkachuk was on that top line. Maybe he will be soon. So, what are your thoughts on the Senators team?
Yeah, that's a great read on great read, Jimmy the Bag. The numbers that I look at have them on the under as far as the season points total are concerned, but I agree with you that they look primed to have betting value as a big underdog in spots for sure.
Probably at home. At home is a place where we can back them. It's a sleepy arena outside of the city. The opposition's not going to be excited to be there. And
they look Pittsburgh Pirates-esque.
Yeah, I think that's well put. That's well put. It sucks that it's Matthew Murray. So you know what we should probably do is probably wait till Anton Forsberg is between the pipes, and maybe the market will look at that as a lesser than situation, and maybe it is a plus. So maybe Anton Forsberg between the pipes at home is when we back the Senators. Brady says not having Tkachuk is a killer. Hopefully they get him back soon. I like the overseason point totals. It's too bad. Tkachuk is a special kid, special player. Let's move on to Detroit Red Wings because, those of us who were so excited to see Stevie Y come over there and think about Stevie Y not getting the recognition that he deserves for building the Lightning team. Breezeball getting all that attention. I don't know what to make of this Red Wings team, and I don't know if they're actually getting, I hate to say it, but better at this point. I can't understand a team like Carolina Hurricanes that are so close to having it all would give away Nedeljkovic for a third-round pick. I mean, what is Nedeljkovic like then? Because he can't – there has to be, and I hate to say this, but there has to be some character issues. There just has to be. For him to put up these spectacular numbers as a young goalie and the Hurricanes not wanting him, and then you have to ask yourself, do you trust the brain trust of the Hurricanes? And I do. And do you trust Rob Brind'Amour? And obviously, Rod Brind'Amour looked into Nedeljkovic's eyes and thought, I can't trust this. There's something going on that makes no sense. I like the Nick Leddy pickup. I've been staring at Philip Roenick for a while, expecting him to be better. You know that Dylan Larkin should be better. And then
I think that Nedeljkovic is a long-term move, clearly Detroit's not really playing for this year again. They're pretty much having the rebuild being slow. And so I don't think that they're necessarily expecting him. I think that they think that they can, get results out of him longer term, whereas the Hurricanes, maybe didn't think that.
But why would they not? Like, I completely get the move from the Detroit side of things. But when you think something has enormous value and then you get offered nothing for it, I mean, it's got to be a red flag. Mr. Go says Nedel's going to die in Detroit. He has nothing in front of him. Slatsy says losing Vrana hurts the offense. You have Vrana out. This team
feels like it's another semi-tank year for Detroit.
I wouldn't say semi-tank. I think that I think there's a full tank. They're trying to get that first overall pick. You have Tyler Bertuzzi, who's not vaccinated, so he can't play in Canada, which is not too big of a deal. There are a couple other spots he won't be able to play in America. But he's a very tough player to play against. The Mantha trade made no sense to me. And when I look at guys like Nemesnikov and Fabry, I see stick handlers who will get punished in tough games.
All right. I'll make that an official play. Jimmy the Bag, that was my thought. Under 77.5 for Detroit, minus 115.
Under 77.5 and minus 115. You know, that makes sense to me, and I think I might tail that. You know, they've talked about the Red Wings not getting a top, is it a 3-pick or top 5 pick, but they've been bad. They've been lousy, but they haven't been getting the high draft picks. I think this is the year that they get the number 1 pick. So I think that, but in saying that, the Sabres are absolutely trash. I mean, how do they, I don't understand. You're trying to rebuild, and you got Linus Ullmark, you have Sam Reinhart, and you don't keep these guys makes no sense. Like, I get Casey Middlestad. Look, you one of the worst contracts in the history of professional sports with Jeff Skinner. You have to deal with that. There's a few teams that have that. You have Dylan Cousins, Casey Middlestad. I don't know why you don't want Sam Reinhart to lead the way there. Rasmus Dahlin is not being very good. The Ristolainen trade to the Flyers, it seems like they want to get all the vets off of this team that they possibly can. Now, no one's going to take Skinner and Okposo off their hands, so they'll just end up cutting them whenever they can. But I thought that this team had hope a couple years ago. Obviously, the Eichel situation is a distraction and it hurts them. But how you can go into an NHL season with Craig Anderson and Dustin Tokarski is beyond me. They're just so bad. They're just, I mean, there's got to be overs nonstop. What is their season win total right now for the Sabres?
I don't know, but we're talking about Buffalo, right?
Yeah.
All right, so Jimmy the Bag, you know how people say that there's no locks in sports betting, and you really should not bet, you know, the house and the mortgage and everything on any individual game because anything can happen. I still believe that. But if you're going to do that, do it on January 30th, Buffalo at Colorado, Buffalo on a back-to-back. The fair line in that game should be like minus 700 or something like that. What'll it be? I don't know. But, yeah, Buffalo is terrible, and that January 30th game I've got circled. There's no way the market's going to make the line high enough on Colorado.
You're right. You're right. You're right.
You know what I'm saying?
I think that we have to keep a very close eye on this Sabres power play. If this Sabres power play can be good, then we can cash overs with them nonstop because their goaltending is going to be absolutely atrocious. Mr. Gokser says Tokarski probably their best chance. I probably, but there's a reason why he never made the show. So these teams just look so bad. Let's not spend too much time on them. Let's move on. But that is your Atlantic division.